Hello, and welcome to Awaken Your Potential podcast. This is your host, Jill Batista, mind body therapist. Today, we're going to be talking about habits, one of my favorite topics, especially when it comes to working with hypnosis clients. I often get approached by people that are wanting to change a habit or create a new habit. If you're liking listening to this or watching this episode on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. It just helps me to grow my audience and get the messages out there into the interwebs, into the ears of people ready to listen to how to awaken their potential in all areas of their life. So today, the definition, according to the dictionary here for Oxford Languages, describes a habit as a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. And the example that they give is, quote, "We stayed together out of habit." Wow. Oh my gosh, so much there in just that definition alone. So, if a habit is a repeated behavior or pattern of behaviors, it really does start in the mind. So, let me list some behaviors that clients have come to me to work with or are just aware that these habits exist in their lives. So, habits can look like behaviors, can look like fears and phobias. It can look like an attitude, a lifestyle, a relationship pattern or style, failures and repeated attempts, whether it be challenges, repeated crisis, or repeated conflicts. These are all patterns. Chronic illness can be a pattern. Money issues, lack of money mindset. This is all habitual. Lack of self confidence. Again, it's a habit. And last but not being least on my list here today is the habit of being yourself. I love Joe Dispenza's work around breaking the habit of being yourself. If you haven't looked into any of his books, a lot of them are on Audible and they're wonderful to just help you to understand that how you show up every day in your life and many of the things that we experience each and every day are habits. And a habit begins with a thought. A thought repeated enough times, roughly 21 to 67 times, a thought gets repeated, it becomes a belief. That belief then becomes your attitude, and that attitude informs the decisions that you make. It helps you to create the choices, the behaviors, and eventually the patterns and habits that you do each and every day. As I mentioned in a previous podcast, 80% or more of what we do each and every day is the same thing that we did yesterday, the day before, and the day before. And the reason is your brain has one job, and that job is to keep you safe. And what the brain deems safe is what is familiar, what is on autopilot. How many of us have our bills on auto pay? And that saves you time each month. When you look at your bank account, you go to balance your checking account, if you do that anymore. But the automated bill paying has been quite a time saver when it comes to just making sure everything's taken care of. You don't even have to think about it. As long as the money and the funds are available in the account, the bills get paid every month. You don't even have to think about it. It's awesome. The brain works very similarly. When you have all these automated systems in the body, your respiratory system, your circulatory system, your digestive system, all these things going on all the time behind the scenes without you even having to think about it. It's happening in an automated way so that the brain can maximize its potential to continue to keep you alive and safe, fighting off immune threats, dealing with possibly chronic issues in the body. It's too busy doing these automated things to worry about a new potential threat. So, when it comes to having a habit that you would rather not have in your life anymore, making that change often comes with a huge amount of resistance, procrastination, and even self sabotage. And why that is because your brain deems the new activity, habit, or behavior as unsafe because it's unfamiliar. Take weight loss, for example. Someone who's been struggling with weight loss issues for many, many years knows what it's like to carry around an extra 20, 40, 60, or even 100 or more pounds. They're aware of the aches and pains that they deal with every day, the lack of mobility, the struggle when putting on clothes or even buying new clothes. It can become part of who they are. Their identity has become they are a heavy set person. And so when they go to make a change, whether it be lifestyle, moving more and the going to the gym or changing the way that you eat, these are all new behaviors. And at first, the brain is going to deem these behaviors as new, which means they are unfamiliar, which means they are potentially a threat or unsafe. And so oftentimes, my clients will start off with a New Year's resolution to lose weight, to change their diet, to get back in the gym. They'll sign up for that membership, and 2 weeks later, they are having a really hard time keeping their commitments and their dedication to this new way of being. And what I want to tell you today is it's not your fault. It really isn't. It's simply the fact that your brain is keeping you safe in what is familiar. And what has become familiar to you is the fact that you're carrying around this extra weight. So, how do we change this? How do we make a shift in a major way so that the goals that we set for ourselves can be achieved and the habits that we want to alleviate ourselves from can be a thing of the past? How can we create new habits, new ways of being and showing up in our lives that is healthy, positive, life affirming, and joyful? Well, we have to create the new habit. So it really does start with looking at what's getting in your way. Oftentimes, it's not just simply the brain. Sometimes there is what we call a secondary benefit to being the way that you've always been. It's safe, it's familiar, it's comfortable, and it's known. You know what it's like to deal with the struggles that you deal with every day. That quote in the dictionary definition for habits was genius. We stayed together out of habit. How crazy is that? If you're not in a relationship that is thriving, a lot of times it's because it's become a habit to show up the way that you show up each and every day, to behave the way that you behave, to talk to each other the way that you always talk to each other. It's all habitual. So the first thing is, break down the habit. What is it that you're wanting to change? Identify it. Is this a behavior, a fear, a lifestyle, a relationship pattern or style? Is this a chronic illness, a money issue? a lack of confidence, what is the thing that's getting in your way of living your best life? So identify what it is that you really want to change. Think about the top 5 reasons why this change will be beneficial to you. And once you've made that list, I want you to really think hard. What is the worst thing that could happen, or the least beneficial thing that can happen if this were to change? Sometimes what keeps us from making that change beyond the brain, beyond the habits, is the secondary benefit that you're actually getting from keeping that behavior in your life. Let's talk about relationships. The habit of being in an unhealthy relationship. This is so common. There's so many factors that come into play when you even think about breaking up, moving out, ending the marriage. There's financial things, there's living situations, there's separating of items, dealing with children if they're involved, moving, so many things. It can become very, very overwhelming to even think about the prospect of doing this. However, remaining in the situation, not only is it familiar, but your brain considers it safe, even if it is unhealthy, even if you are being harmed mentally, emotionally, or physically. It's still deemed as safe because it's known and familiar. And I say this with the most amount of compassion because I've been in that situation where I knew I needed to make a change. And the fear of making that change was greater than making the change itself. So I really want to challenge you. Make these lists because then you become more conscious and aware of what it is you want to change and what is standing in your way. Once you have those things figured out, then it's just a matter of interrupting the patterns. Taking a new path requires change. And how do we make that change with the least amount of resistance? Well, in my opinion, the best way is by engaging that subconscious mind, helping that critical faculty to relax through guided meditation or hypnosis. When you're in that beautiful theta brain wave, you can then implant seeds of thought or upgrade your mental software to a program that will actually support you in making these changes possible for yourself. Imagine setting out to make a change in your habits and behaviors in a way that's graceful, that's easy, that feels like it's no big deal. It's just who you are now. That is what can happen when you employ the subconscious mind through these techniques that I teach. So, getting yourself into that relaxed, focused state, I create these hypnosis audios that are customized for each and every goal that my client has. And it's like peeling back the layers of an onion. It might start with weight loss, but underneath all of that weight loss is a feeling of safety that they never had. Or maybe when they were young, they were teased. And so they carried this weight with them for protection for the rest of their lives. There's so many reasons why we behave the way that we do and how it starts. And so we do peel back the layers of the beliefs to get to the root issue or the cause of the beginning of that habit without reliving the traumatic stories, without re traumatizing the client. It's just let's dial in and locate that root cause, that root belief that created the thought that then became the pattern and the behavior, the cycle that's repeated over and over. So Creating these hypnosis audios, my clients get a library, depending on how many sessions we do together, that helps them to truly change and transform their lives, awakening their potential for success when it comes to their goals and desired outcomes. And it happens a lot easier and a lot more graceful than traditional talk therapy or doing it on your own. This is something that really is you need a help. You need somebody with another set of eyes, another set of ears to help you to really highlight the blind spots that perhaps you're just not seeing for yourself. Oftentimes, when we are stuck in these patterns and habits, it takes a neutral outside influence to help us to see it for ourselves. And as you would talk to a close friend or confidant, you're well aware that sometimes your best friend can point out for you what you're not even seeing that's right in front of you. And so that is one of the benefits that you get when you work with a professional that can help you to not only discover and uncover these limiting beliefs and blind spots that are keeping you stuck, but then to give you tools to help you to change, to help you to succeed with your goals, and to help you to create the life that you truly love to live. When it comes to chronic illness, this is, again, a topic that I speak about with the most compassion that I can muster because I have worked with people over the years that deal with chronic pain, inflammation, and dis-ease. Some have crazy diagnoses that they've been given over the years that don't even make sense. Sometimes they're going from doctor to doctor to doctor, and nobody really has an answer for their discomfort. So when I look at these types of situations, you could easily make a list of complaints when it comes to chronic illness. That's a no-brainer. But I find what's challenging when it comes to healing chronic illness and disease in the body is wondering what is the secondary benefit that they could potentially be getting for being chronically ill. Now, don't throw your remotes at me. This is a big deal to really look at from an honest perspective. Let's take one of my clients that I worked with recently that dealt with migraines for many years. The migraine, even though painful and debilitating, also gave them the opportunity to take a day off from work. They would use up their sick days on a monthly basis because they knew that migraine was coming. And when it came, not only did they get to stay home from work, they got to relax in their bed in a dimly lit room. Maybe they took care of themselves better than they did most days of the week during those painful times. Perhaps they got a little bit more rest than they usually get to. Everybody kind of left them alone because they knew don't disturb them. They're having a migraine day. The benefit that they were getting secretly was that they were getting some extra self-care. So when you think about it from this perspective, it's not their fault that they were getting the migraine. And it's not even their fault that they were getting the secondary benefit. However, if you want to make that change, acknowledge the secondary benefit and find a different way to give that to yourself and allow yourself to not require the illness in order to get the self-care that you need. A friend of mine told me the other day that her autoimmune disease flares up for her when she's overdoing it and when her body needs a rest. And that without this autoimmune flare up, she would whittle herself down to a nub working and burning the candle at both ends, never taking time off. I asked her, is it necessary that this disease, this illness, this flare up be the indicator when she needs to slow down? Or can there be a gentler, easier way for her to take care of herself so that those flare ups never even happen? It gave her something to think about. And I believe as she continues to work on her self love, her self compassion, and her ability to have exceptional self care on a regular basis, I believe those flare ups will become less and less necessary as a reminder because she'll already be adopting and creating a new lifestyle that supports her wellness every single day. I know these are big topics and just wanting to kind of touch on what habits can look like. It's much more than just quitting smoking, you know, eating a little less fast food or taking an extra walk every day. Habits really are who we are and how we show up each and every day in your life. So, my advice to you is while you're doing this introspective work, and taking a look at the areas of your life where you're having discomfort, dis-ease, challenges, crisis, or conflict. If you see a pattern, identify that pattern. Do the work, investigate. What are the benefits of having it? What are the benefits of changing it? Remember to be kind, be loving, be patient, and be compassionate to yourself like you are for so many people each and every day. Give that to yourself as you're doing this work because it's very, very important that we be kind to ourselves. And if you're wanting support, you would like a second set of eyes and ears on your situation, I do offer a free midlife crisis breakthrough session to help you to dial in on what's keeping you stuck in these habits, patterns, and cycles that are no longer serving you so that you can make the change and awaken your potential for greatness in all areas of your life. Please feel free to share this with somebody that needs to hear this message today. Like and subscribe so that you get more of my content as I share these episodes each Saturday moving forward. I look forward to having some guests on that'll be interesting and informative, teaching you also about alternative wellness solutions for different modalities that I've employed in my life and that I've also helped others to enjoy as well. And this has been Jill Batista of Essential Healing Works, helping you to awaken your potential for greatness in all areas of your life. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.